Hey, creative souls, writers, word witches, thank you so much for tuning in. I swear the more subscribers and comments I receive on my channel, the more excited I am to keep showing up here for all of you. I have had so much going on recently that I was afraid, to be honest, that this might be the first writing and astrology video that I would miss doing since I started them on April 2nd, 2024. Ever since that date, I have been recording and uploading new moon and full moon videos and talking about how you can use those energies to influence and benefit your writing practice. And those videos are sort of my markers, if you will. When life gets wild or I get sick, I always figure that if I can, at the very least, do a new moon video and a full moon video, then I'm good. I feel like I'm still showing up. I'm still giving you something that you can hopefully use to enhance your writing life. And of course, I always manage to upload more, but my low bar in terms of production is that I get those 2 videos done each month. So obviously, I am getting this one done, and I'm very happy about it because I don't want to miss a beat with these. I like doing them, and I like offering them to you, and I hope that they are helpful. So my intro today is going to be a bit longer than usual before I get to the full moon, but I hope you'll stick around and hear what I have to say, and I have my reasons for sharing some of these things with you. And the first is this. Recently, I posted a video with a shameless request asking that you help me get to 500 subscribers. Right now, I'm at 280, and I'm wanting to get to 500 by the end of June. And I'm asking for your help in doing that. So if you've watched my videos and you've gotten something out of them but haven't subscribed yet, please do. And if you have been a subscriber or you're a new one, if you would share it with others you know who you think might enjoy them or benefit from them, please do that as well. My reason for wanting to get to 500, I've explained in the other video, and I will link it up above if I have not already, so you can take a look and see why. But the short version is that when I have 500 subscribers, I can do more here on YouTube. I have access to more things, and that means I can do more for you, and that's why I'm here. So in a way, by helping me, you're also helping yourself. And at any rate, for whatever reason you choose to, I really do hope you'll subscribe. The next thing is, out of a desire to be more human, more authentic, behind the content that I share with you, because I don't want to just be a content machine. I want you to feel like you're hearing from a person, from a human who has a life. And even though I'm very private, I obviously am not going to spill my guts, and I'm not an open book. A lot of people, when I meet them, they'll say, I'm an open book. And I always tell them, well, I'm not. So if you want to know me, you got to take some time. And I've been here on this channel for a while now, and I'm feeling more comfortable. And so I will likely start sharing a little bit more about me, while also still reserving some things that are meant just for me. And so I want to tell you a couple of reasons why I feared I might not get this video ready, to kind of let you know what's going on in the background for me. First, I'll tell you the good reason why I thought I might miss it. I recently launched a Kickstarter campaign for my indie publishing efforts for my novel, Miranda's Garden. It was one of those whirlwind experiences of getting everything pulled together so that I could launch it on May 1st, because I really wanted to launch it on Beltane. And there were some really beneficial energies going on in the cosmos as well that day, and so it just seemed like the perfect day to do it. And so I had a deadline. And the whole thing was fun and exciting and exhilarating. I loved getting it all pulled together because I'm very excited about the project and about getting the novel out into the world finally. And for those of you who are also ADHD or even ADHD, or who have some sort of divergent neurotype, you know what a big push like that can do to you. It wears a person out. And for many of us, and this is absolutely true for me, I then have a hard time transitioning to what's next. I have a hard time remembering what's next. I can even have a list in front of me, and it's just like, doesn't quite connect. Because there's always plenty for me to do. There's always too much for me to do, always. But when I finish something big like that, my brain just says, we're done, and it doesn't know where to put its focus next. I'm working on ways to do this better, and I'm actually making some good progress, and so that's exciting. And also a side note, by offering this is not an invitation to give me advice or tell me how I can do this better. We neurodivergents share many similarities, but we're also very different in a lot of ways. We're neurodivergent in our very specific individual ways, and there are a lot of nuance to neurodivergence. Since launching the campaign, I've managed to get some things done. So it's not like I've just been sitting here in paralysis mode, but I haven't had that super hyper focus that I really love when it happens. And not that I want to be in it all the time, because that's what's draining. But I think many of you out there who have this, who can accomplish that super hyper focus because you have this special brain, I think you know what I'm talking about. At any rate, I am feeling the focus return, and I'm happy to report that I'm 30% funded on the campaign. If you support indie publishing and or women creatives, I really hope that you'll consider pledging to the campaign, or at the very least, sharing the link to it, and I'll put that in the description. And honestly, from the bottom of my heart and soul, I would be forever grateful. This novel and this project means the world to me. So please visit the campaign page, watch the video, check out the rewards and the tiers and the add-on to learn more about it. And I want to say a bit about the add-on. For those who choose the add-on, in addition to their pledge, I will not only donate a copy of the novel to an organization here in Portland that supports and provides services for kids and their families who have endured domestic violence. I will also, per each add-on, donate $20 from the proceeds of book sales to that organization as well. And I'm doing this because childhood trauma is a big theme in my novel, Miranda's Garden. And it's something that means a lot to me. It's something that I don't think gets enough attention. And I think there are a lot of wounded adults in the world creating havoc because they haven't healed. And I wanted to put a spotlight on that and really show what it does to a person, and that there is hope. When you pledge, you'll get a behind-the-scenes account of everything that's happening, and there's a sweet list of rewards like I mentioned. And if you only want to support and you're not concerned about getting a reward, there's also a tier for that, and it starts at $1. And every single pledge gets me closer to my goal. Okay, so that was the good news about why I thought I might miss making this video. Now I'll tell you the not so good news. I've talked a little in other videos about my kitty Iris, and at some point while I'm talking about her, I'll put a photo or two or a few up so you can see her. She's the love of my life. I adore her. She's my buddy, she's my feline familiar, and we've bonded so deeply, and I just love her with all my heart. But my doctor thought it might be helpful for me to have an emotional support animal. So I got Iris when she was 9 weeks old. And about a year and a half in, and this was the summer of the pandemic, she started getting sick. And it turns out she has a cat version of a chronic illness. She has inflammatory bowel disease, or IBD. And we've been treating that since then, all these years, with steroids. We've been doing an injectable steroid because she is not a cat you can get a pill in, especially not every day. In large part because she's been traumatized. When she got sick, and it was during the pandemic, she was in and out of the vet and they wouldn't let me go in with her. And so what I'm certain happened is she was afraid because I wasn't with her, and she resisted, and they had to kind of manhandle her to get the job done. Well, now anytime anyone except for me tries to touch her, she will take your arm off. And I think this because prior to that she had no problem going to the vet. So anyway, a couple of months ago, Iris developed an abscess in the location where I kept giving her injection. It got really bad, she got sick, she had to be operated on, so we had to go to the ER to get this surgery done in the middle of the night. The day before at the vet's office, they did an ultrasound because something clearly was up with her stomach. Well, what they discovered is she had numerous hair ties in her stomach. The cats with her condition, with IBD, they can also have this condition called pica, where they will eat strange objects. And cats tend to do that anyway, but cats with pica do it even more so. And I had seen her long time ago going after my hair ties, and I thought I had put them all up. I've also caught her eating Q-tips. So those are under lock and key. But I think they found about 15 hair ties inside her. And thank goodness I have a really good vet for Iris and for me, because she always tells me what a great job I'm doing with Iris, because Iris is not an easy cat. And it's not her fault, she's just sick. And she always tells me how I've shaped my life around Iris, and I have. And she doesn't let me stay in self-blame mode for too long, but I'll tell you, I felt like a really shitty cat mom when I found out she had a bunch of hair ties inside her. And despite my best efforts, she somehow found them. So at any rate, Iris was sent home after those 2 simultaneous surgeries in one night, and she had this half-inch open wound on her neck that we had to leave open, and it took about 2 months to heal. It was quite an ordeal. We got through that, and then by a fluke, discovered that, oh, maybe she can eat other things, so I could smash up an oral steroid and give it to her that way. So we started doing that. And I'm thinking, oh, we're gonna have a nice, smooth run for a while at least. Well, she's been a cat because of her illness who has been losing weight very slowly over the years. Well, she started losing faster. And I just found out Tuesday of this week this past week that she now has diabetes. And it's hard to say how or why, but she acquired it since the surgeries in February. Today, the day I'm recording this video, which is the Saturday before the full moon, so this is the 10th of May, today was the first day that I gave her first insulin injection. And oh my God, it has been a very touchy, tense day for me because I have to keep a close eye on her, make sure that her glucose levels don't drop too far. And shortly after I gave her the first injection, she started acting weird, and I'm looking for all the signs I'm supposed to look for. Yes, she got lethargic. That's one of the things. But how lethargic? I don't know. I've never seen this before. And so it's been a tense day. I've seen a change in her for the better. I think I'm starting to understand how this is going to work. After 2 weeks of this, I then have to do a little ear prick every 2 hours on her ear for 12 hours to check her glucose levels and report to the vet. And this is also that we can calibrate her dosage so that it's just right for her. So the goal is to reverse it, which I did not know you could do, but the vet says it is possible sometimes to reverse diabetes. And then the next thing is to attempt to get her off the steroids. But with Iris, it's always like walking a tightrope because the slightest little thing can upset her system and create a cascade of things to deal with. And because her IBD affects both her gut and her skin, it's kind of a double whammy. But we're doing this, we're doing it together, and I just adore everything about her. And I have to do everything she needs. I just have to. She's gotten me through some really tough times, and I want to do this for her. I want to be there for her, and I'm going to do whatever it takes. Thank you for listening to all that. I just felt the need to tell you about it because to simply post videos and keep myself in the background just doesn't feel right to me. It doesn't feel authentic, and it doesn't feel genuine. And my ADHD really bristles at that. I haven't known all my life that I am ADHD, but I feel like I have fought all my life to be able to be myself. And I know there are a lot of you out there listening who can relate to that because the world was not made for us. And I decided this is my channel, this is my thing, and I'm going to be me on here. And I have been in large part up to this point. I think you've seen more of my kind of bristly, cranky, crass side. I don't think I've let you see my more vulnerable side. And so I'm going to do my best to let that show every now and then. But yeah, when things with my kitty come up, I get pretty darn vulnerable, and she becomes the focus above everything else. So I gotta be me, you know? All right, so let's get to this full moon in Scorpio. There's a lot with this, although it's really good, and I'm excited to share it with you. And I'll be honest, I started making notes for this video before I consulted Kelly at Kelly's Astrology, and without fail almost, I can tell you that wherever I am in my mind, in my soul, whatever I feel like I'm needing as it relates to my life or my writing, then I check out these astrology videos and I find out that, oh, I'm already feeling what this upcoming energy is providing for us, and I'm already acting on it. And so it's always a great validation for me. And so I was talking about earlier about the need to be authentic and just be myself, and that's what a lot of this energy is about. And so I can't wait to tell you about it. As always, I will put the link in the description for Kelly's channel and her full moon in Scorpio video. So be sure to check her out. She's one of my favorites because she explains what's happening in the cosmos so clearly and so carefully and so simply that I just really appreciate the way she approaches it. So let's talk about how this energy can influence your writing practice and how you can use it to benefit yourself and your practice. This full moon is at 22 degrees in Scorpio. So what that means is that the moon is pretty far along the trajectory of Scorpio. So every sign has 29 degrees in it. So when one is at 22, it's kind of nearing the end of that. It means the energy is somewhat developed. It's not a new energy that's just getting going. It's really kind of settled in and it's preparing to move on its way out. So it's got some heft behind it, okay? So this is a deep and really emotional full moon. And as Kelly says, you might find yourself swimming in a kind of murky or mysterious kind of place. And Scorpio full moons are ideal for really going deep and releasing emotional pain from the past or discomfort that we've maybe been holding on to. And of course, those of us who write fiction have a fabulous outlet for that. It's really kind of a magical tool that we have. This calling of ours that compels us to write stories heals us at the same time. And so it's kind of like this perpetual self-healing cycle that we can get into if we commit to a solid writing practice. In other videos, I've talked about the story behind Miranda's Garden, especially when I was writing the first draft of it, and it kind of flipped my life upside down. But because it did that in such a dramatic way, it was totally life-changing for the better. And as I said before, I'm a Cancer, and so I do not shy away from deep emotional work. I welcome it. I feel comfortable doing it, even if it's difficult or hard or sad. I love doing shadow work, and it's scary, it's uncomfortable, and I know it's like truly scary for some people, but I welcome it. I want it, because I know what's on the other side of it. This bright kind of clarity that I didn't have before, and a deeper personal awareness, and a greater sense of self-love, and also a real and balanced sense of agency in the world. And so it's really in the end, a confidence booster. When we can get through a period of shadow work, it's just like a super duper kind of vitamin boost to your soul. It's the best. I love it. So I'm over here with open arms, welcoming in this full moon in Scorpio energy. And maybe that's because I have a Scorpio moon, and so this energy is not foreign to me. And I don't want to make this sound easy or dismiss the fact that there are some people that really struggle with it. And so I want to take a minute to say that for those of you who are not comfortable with it, I understand how disconcerting it can feel. And I understand the fear in embracing it or facing it. If you find yourself getting off center, lean into your writing. It's always there for you. And this is one of the things I love about having a writing practice. It's always there, and it won't let you down, unlike people, right? And really, in the end, your writing practice is you. It's a reflection of you. And so that's why I say that honoring your impulse to write is an act of self-love. It's a way for you to meet yourself and honor yourself and love yourself and embrace your creativity for the magic that it is. So to begin with this full moon, if life starts to feel a little dark or heavy, take some time to write. It will release whatever you're holding inside you. And at the same time, it will lead you to parts of yourself that you haven't met yet. And it's true that writing fiction can take us down a bumpy road of emotions, but it's doing what this Scorpio moon will do, leading us to clarity. It's sort of like being able to experience little mini rebirths over and over and over. And that's why I think writing is such a gift. And those of us who are called to do it are so fortunate. I also think avoiding it is avoiding an important part of ourselves. And like I said, parts of ourselves that we've yet to meet, and probably parts that we need to meet. As Kelly says, Scorpio is a fixed water sign. So as I talked about in my most recent new moon video, I talked about what fixed signs are. And this just means that Scorpio is a water sign. So it's a water sign that is in the middle of a season. That's what makes a sign fixed. So each elemental group of signs has a fixed sign. So it's whatever sign in the group of air signs, of fire signs, of water signs, and earth signs are in the middle of a season. So the first water sign is Cancer. That's me. I'm a cardinal water sign. Then we have Scorpio. The last water sign is Pisces, and those are considered mutable. So cardinal signs are all about solid beginnings, moving forward, getting things started. Fixed signs are holding things where they are. Mutable signs are about going like this, to and fro, being very mutable and malleable, and each have their strengths. All right, so Scorpio is a fixed water sign. And because fixed signs are fixed, they can sometimes feel stubborn or even stagnant or rigid. So don't be surprised if this Scorpio full moon has you gripped by something that you just feel you can't shake. Maybe it's something that's been with you for a while, something that's gripped you, and maybe now is a time when you can kind of fully look at it. You know, it's been back there and you kind of keep letting it go. Like you have a pain in your tooth and you know, oh, I need to get to the dentist, and you just don't make it happen because it doesn't hurt badly enough yet. That's what this full moon might do for you. And so now's a great time if you've had something that's been nagging, been bothering you, something you just haven't wanted to let go of, now's a great time to do it. And I'll say this, if you find yourself in this position of really kind of realizing or admitting that, yeah, there's this thing I've been holding on to and it's not really helping me, I'm right there with you. I do not let things go. Not as in holding grudges, but as in remembering how someone or something hurt me or wronged me, and making damn sure I'm not going to let it happen again with that person or with that situation or with similar people or similar situations. And sometimes I'll admit this is probably to my detriment. So this might show up for you as a recurring theme, even if it doesn't happen as a pattern over and over in your life. There could be this memory or this thing from the past that kind of jarred you or wasn't quite right, that has just kind of stuck with you, that hasn't gotten resolved. And this very thing has been happening to me recently, and I won't go into detail about what it is, but I will just say that I keep being presented with this recurring theme, and it's completely out of my control. I can tell I'm being asked or given the opportunity to revisit or relook at something. And for the time being, I'm just observing, staying open to what might come, and I'm considering it fodder for my fiction, because I love taking things from my life, and I hope you'll do the same. There's nothing more exciting to me than finding a kernel of something that has happened in my life or that is showing up, and then transform it into a theme of some kind that will become a story. And that's why I have so many in-progress short stories that I will finish someday. I get them finished, just takes me a while because I have so many going all at once. This fixed energy in Scorpio can also make us become aware of things that have become stagnant. So be curious about this. Make a note to yourself. Where in your life do you feel stagnant? And in particular, is there some part of your writing life or your writing practice that has become stagnant? It could be a particular story or project you're working on. It could be your approach to it. Habit is good, but when it gets to be this unquestioned, unintentional rut, then it's time to kind of shake things up and shift things around. It could be that your plot is stalling out. So here's some remedies for that. If you feel the story or plot you're working on is kind of stuck or stagnant, have a conversation with your protagonist. Sit quietly and close your eyes and conjure up their essence in your mind. Imagine them sitting across from you. Write them a letter if that feels better, but talk to them. Ask them what they want and remind yourself of their overarching desire, the thing that called for the story to be written in the first place. Check in with them and with yourself. Have they gone astray? Have you led them astray? Think of ways you can get back on track and get more aligned with the heart of their desire and the why behind what they want. That's the really important thing. You might know what they want, but why do they want it? And then go from there. And you have to be willing to let things go. And that's what this whole full moon is all about right now, letting things go. And this could mean killing your darlings or cutting words that you love or sentences that are just perfect or passages that are maybe you feel like is some of the best writing that you've ever done. But if they don't directly support the story, then you have to get rid of them. And this is hard to do. I am not great at it, so I will tell you that. It's a hard thing to do, so do your best. So Kelly says the biggest themes that come up during a Scorpio full moon are all about trust and loyalty. So there could be some undercurrents of betrayal and hurt that might be hanging around. And I want to ask you, do you think that your protagonist trusts you? I think this is essential to telling deeply moving and meaningful universal stories. So think about it. Are you willing to come out and be your full self around people you don't trust? I hope not. It's self-protection. Holding back is self-protection. Being an open book is opening ourselves up, especially those of us who are super sensitive and wired in a particular way. We cannot do that. We cannot open ourselves up to everybody that we meet. It's deadly for us. Deadly for our wiring of our nervous system, deadly for our spirits and our souls and our hearts and our minds. And as I've said many times, I liken developing and growing a character and telling their story to raising a child. How do you get a child to trust you? You show up for them, you protect them, and you listen to them. And that's what you have to do for your protagonist. An editor who read a very early version of my published short story, What I Want, told me you have to fall in love with Claire. And that's the protagonist of that story. And I knew exactly what she meant when she said it. And so I committed myself to doing that. And when I did, everything changed. I wrote a story that hit people right in the heart and stayed with them after they read it. So if you're feeling stuck, spend time with your protagonist and call up that protective parent in you. Whether you have human kids or not, even if you have pets, you know what it means to protect another living thing. Protect and love your protagonist the way you protect and love your child or your pet. To take this deeper and further, Kelly says, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, this could be about betrayal or disappointment and how to be honest when it's hard or feels like it might hurt. This is about getting down to brass tacks, as my grandma would say, getting to the deep truth of a thing. Now, I've seen this in students and clients. When they drag their feet, it's usually because they're dancing around a deep truth in the story, which usually translates to a deep truth in themselves. And it's understandable that we want to shy away from those feelings. They're difficult. Life is short. It can be disruptive. We want life to be as enjoyable as possible. But life isn't always about comfort. My belief, and you may have your own about this, my belief is that maybe, and I say maybe because I'm always open and ready to change my mind, my belief is that maybe our greatest lesson in life is to learn how to love ourselves. And I think it's fair to say this is not easy for any of us. And this is why I harp on the idea of honoring your writing practice and honoring your impulse to write, and that when you do that, it's an act of self-love because your creativity is your life force. When you write, you're allowing your life force to move up and out of you. Here's another exercise to try. Go back to that exercise I mentioned earlier about connecting with your protagonist. So call up your protagonist and imagine embodying them. Imagine what it might feel like to have the essence of them inside you. And let them take up space in your body. And I know this can be a freaky thing for some people, so if it totally creeps you out, don't do it. But if you're game, give it a try. And to be real, your fictional characters are not you, but they are of you. They come from you. And so I think to hold them inside us, to me, it's not a creepy thing. But I know that some people might not see it that way. So, do your thing, do what you need to do. If it feels right, call up your protagonist, imagine yourself embodying them, then ask them questions about what they want and what they need. And you can either do this out loud, verbally, or in your mind, and do this while you look into your own eyes in the mirror. It's freaky as hell, but it'll take you places, and you'll be okay. That's what we writers do. We take ourselves places, and we take others places as well. So remember that this is about raw emotional honesty. Are you being deeply, deeply honest in your writing? Are you being deeply, deeply honest with yourself about what you're working on? And this is about laying ourselves bare. And I think that's the only way we can write stories that deeply resonate with people. Otherwise, we're just moving stick figures around on a page. And as Kelly says, this doesn't mean that we are absolutely going to find ourselves thrown into this deep, dark hole of deep, dark emotions. It's not that scary or dramatic. It could mean that you've had an experience in the past that has brought up some anger. That's me every day. Have you been out in the world lately? Are you a sensitive soul? It could mean that you have felt betrayal or judgment. Now this full moon, you'll be able to revisit it and work through it and put it behind you. I'll give you a personal example of this. I recently did something I rarely do because I know what the outcome will be. And no, I'm not creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. This is me having been on this earth for nearly 67 years, being ADHD, having experiences and seeing patterns, and being freakishly intuitive. What I did was this. I went to lunch with a group of people, most of whom are neurotypical. To me, this is a horror story. Maybe that's another short story I need to write. A horror story of an ADHD person spending time with a bunch of neurotypical people. Lots of energies floating around, because if you're clued in to the difference between neurotypical and neurodivergent, we neurodivergents, we say exactly what we mean, and we mean exactly what we say. Whereas neurotypicals speak in code. And this is why it's so taxing for us, because we're trying to read all the codes, because nobody's saying exactly what they mean. So I subjected myself to this, not once, but twice, because I guess I'm masochistic. I don't know. After the first time, I felt like something was off. And this is how my ADHD brain works. And yours might too. Took another lunch with the same group, having another experience, and someone totally busting my boundaries by asking me this crazy personal question that shook my nervous system and allowed the things from the previous week, the things that were said, the kind of coded innuendo comments that came my way about some things that I was saying and the way I experience things in the world, to filter down into my brain and make sense and realize what had happened. And what I came away with was an understanding that, once again, I don't belong there. And I'm okay with this. It isn't like I'm jonesing to belong with that group. Quite the opposite, to be honest. So now I know, do not have lunch with them again. And I won't. So maybe one of the things that I will work on with this full moon is letting go of how thoroughly and utterly pissed off I was after the fact, when I realized their coded digs because of their judgment towards me. It happens all the damn time to those of us who are neurodivergent, because we don't fall into the nice, tiny, neat little box. If you're one of us, you know what I mean. And if you're not, it's time to understand how we communicate, because our asses are tired from masking, to dodge and weave, to get through your coded ways of communicating. And we have some things to teach you. Basically, it's simple. Say what you mean and mean what you say. And stop fucking judging and thinking you've got the world by the ass. And to be honest, the fact that so many of us have had to deeply mask and try to fit in is why many of us have chronic illnesses. Our nervous systems are fried. Okay. Rant over. Kelly also says to remember that this Scorpio full moon is about moving through feelings. It isn't about getting stuck in them, even though Scorpio is a fixed sign. And here's why. Scorpio is ruled by Mars. So this is about feeling deeply what you're feeling and then doing something about it. Getting it out of your mind, getting it out of your heart so that it doesn't rule you, so that you don't stay in this pissed off, angry place. Because I'll tell you, even for me, as angry as I was the day that it all kind of came together and made sense for me about this experience that I had, it took me a day after I put it together to kind of put it in its proper place and then put it behind me so I can move on. So it's not like we have to come to grips with things and then wallow in it. This is about getting deeply honest with ourselves and then doing something about whatever it is we're feeling and what's caused it, and having some kind of intentional action in place. And I'm saying this as much to myself as I am to you, because there's much in the world to be pissed off about. And I am, quite frequently. I always say I'm the most compassionate, optimistic, cranky person person you're ever going to meet. I told my daughter the other day, I just want to move to Italy and be a pudgy little Italian woman who walks the streets in her flowered dress, doing this and saying "favanculo," which means fuck off. And she kind of laughed and said, Mom, you already kind of do that. So I'm partway there. Yay. But seriously, there's a delicate balance between being real and honest about our emotional experience in this crazy world and getting stuck. And I think what many people around me don't get is that my spouting off is getting whatever it is that's bugging me out of my system and then moving on. The people who love me know this. The people who think they know me but don't, again, they want to fit me into this teeny tiny itty bitty little box that they've built for me, but I'll bust down the walls of that damn thing every damn time. And this is why I love my fictional characters so much. To me, they are more real and more honest than a lot of humans that I know. Kelly also talks about how the Scorpio full moon, because Mars is the ruler of Scorpio, how he might feel compelled to attack or defend. And she talks about the difference between that and being more assertive or expressive. Now, this is really nuanced, and she isn't, I don't think, saying that one is better than the other, and I would never say that. I think we feel what we feel, and it's all valid. But it's worth thinking about this, if for no other reason than your own well-being. Which approach is going to drain you? Which is going to empower you? Sometimes getting angry is empowering. Sometimes standing up and defending yourself is empowering. If it's something you're asked to do over and over with a certain person or group of people, then it becomes draining. So it's very nuanced, it's different for everybody, and it's different for all of us at different given moments in time. As this relates to your writing practice, do you feel you have to defend your desire to write? And this can happen a lot with people that we know, with people who love us. I hope that you don't have to do this in your daily life. I hope you don't have to defend your impulse to write to anyone. But of course, if you have to, then yes, do that. Fight for your right to write. Because like I said, it's your life force. And it's not good when we dampen that, tamp it down. I'm fortunate these days, I don't have to do that. I live by myself. And to be honest, I can't see myself living with anyone else ever again in my life, roommate or otherwise. Not unless it's a huge rambling house and I have my own wing, or it's a piece of land with a bunch of little tiny houses on it and I have one of my very own. This last leg of my life is mine, and my writing is at the top of the list of priorities. Likewise, I hope you don't find yourself in a situation where you're, say, in a writing group that leaves you feeling like you have to defend yourself and your choices. I saw a post on LinkedIn today about how some editors can be so harsh and so mean, and they don't know how to artfully or compassionately give feedback. And some of them even think that it's their job to kind of take advantage of this thick skin they say that writers need to have. And I've known some editors who take pride in how harsh they are with their clients. But I just say, fuck all that. We don't need that. There are plenty of editors in the world, and there's some nice ones, there are some kind ones. I coined this term when I was teaching college. I called it compassionate pragmatism, and that's the approach I used when I gave feedback to all my students. And there's an art to it, and I'm convinced not everyone can do it, because a lot of people just like being a bully. So I hope you're not in a situation like that in your life, if you're in a writing group, or if you're sharing your work with someone. And if you've been feeling this way, if you have an editor, or like I said, a writing group that leaves you feeling small and shitty after you walk away from a conversation, I hope that you flee, hope that you get the hell out, you handpick your own people, and you start your own group. Writing is vulnerable enough as it is, and allowing assholes and dipshits into your precious writing life or process is not a requirement, so protect yourself. Kelly points out a couple of other important planetary aspects that are happening right now. One is Uranus. So remember, like I said earlier, the full moon is at 22 degrees in Scorpio, and that means that the sun is 22 degrees in Taurus, because when we have a full moon, we have the sun and the moon directly across from each other. So Scorpio is directly across from Taurus. And at the time of the full moon, Uranus is at 26 degrees in Taurus. So it's only 4 degrees away from the full moon. So this means that just a few days after the full moon, Scorpio will be in opposition to Uranus. And what that means is surprises and revelations. And Kelly says this also highlights the possibility for freedom. And this is the ability to liberate yourself from a situation or an emotional matter that you've been stuck on. So the good news is that the Scorpio full moon will make whatever it is around those themes that I mentioned earlier, so trust and loyalty. Uranus gives us an opportunity to have a breakthrough. And this is always a good thing. It can sometimes feel disruptive, but when the dust settles, it means that some kind of change or shift has just happened. And it's like stepping outside after a storm, like a thunderstorm, and breathing the fresh air. So this might be outside yourself, something you're dealing with. It might be something within you. As Kelly puts it, this is about the likelihood of progress in a stuck situation? Can you think of ways this might apply to your writing? Where have you been stuck? Or does your story involve themes of trust and loyalty or betrayal? And can you see ways to navigate through that to keep the plot moving forward and to keep the character developing and transforming? And do you or have you felt betrayed by someone or something around you recently? Can you rectify that somehow so you can move on? And again, like the example I gave of my group lunch date, took 2 weeks for it to make sense for me. When I made sense of it, had kind of a rocky day, and then I put it in its proper place, which is outside me, and moved on. And so that's what this is giving us. Uranus is very energizing and activating, so let it do what it does. Get things moving. Uranus is also about authenticity, which I talked about in the long-ass intro to this video, and why I shared more personal parts of my life. It's also about individuality. So please, lovely writer, be you in your writing and in your writing life. Write the stories that naturally bubble up inside you without worrying whether it will fit somewhere. And I guess I'm responding to this energy, or maybe pre-responding, because as I mentioned, and I'm going to keep talking about this because I'm excited, I am independently publishing my novel, Miranda's Garden. I'm also going to do the same thing with my short stories. No more putting myself at the mercy of another person who gets to decide whether my words deserve to be in the world or not. I'm done with that. And we all have the ability to do this these days in some way, shape, or form. Maybe you'll decide to get a Patreon account to get your work out that way. Maybe you'll start a Substack account. If you're not sure of the difference, Patreon is ideal for people who want to write on a regular basis and get financial support for the work they produce. So maybe you create an account with tiers, and for X amount of dollars every month, everybody gets a short story, or maybe a flash fiction story once a week. Substack is good for those who want to do a regular, usually weekly, newsletter, and also create tiers around that and charge at different rates. And of course, you can make either of these way more complex than I've described. And in both, you can be exactly who you are, and you can draw and find the people who are a right fit for you. Kelly says that if you find yourself feeling frustrated or stuck, ask yourself if you are bringing your whole, individual, quirky, alternative self to whatever the situation is. And again, I can't help but think about the disparity between the experiences those of us who are neurodivergent have compared to those who are neurotypical. Many of us have always tried to bring our whole, individual, quirky, alternative selves to the table. Whatever we were doing, we've tried, and we've been rejected, laughed at, dismissed, shunned, and judged. So we tend to want to not keep experiencing that. And honestly, this is why I created my Alchemy of Writing group. It's intended for those who are HSPs, intuitives, introverts, and neurodivergents. I have no proof, not actual numbers, but I would be willing to bet that a good many of us who write fiction are also neurodivergent because we see patterns. And this is why in the Alchemy of Writing, we do a silent weekly writing circle. This is why you're not pressured to attend the live Q&A, and why I'm willing to take your questions beforehand and answer them during a live, and then send you a replay. I understand how exhausting it is to simply try to be in a world not built for you. And this, of course, doesn't mean that people who don't fit this description I've given, this doesn't mean that they are not welcome. They certainly are. I just like for people to know what they're stepping into. And it's also why I've created an online community for those who want more interaction. In fact, after I get through my Kickstarter campaign, I'm going to start offering Alchemy of Writing in tiers. So if you only want the weekly silent writing gathering and the option to submit questions to be answered and then emailed to you in the replay, you can choose only that. And for those who want more interaction, you can choose the other tier and get that and the online community. And of course, those who are founding members, you all get it all, and you always will. I want to create safe spaces for people to be who they are, to not feel pressured to show up in a way that's inauthentic to them, to not have to mask and pretend and do a performance. I want each person who comes into the fold of Alchemy of Writing to feel comforted and cared for and supported in the way that best fits their needs. So think of this time we're in right now, this full moon in Scorpio with this Uranus influence directly after, is a time of deep, deep honesty, which doesn't mean being mean or hurtful or harsh. A time of really reflecting on and embracing and facing deep and raw emotions, and getting honest about your needs as a human and as a writer, and thinking about past, whether distant or recent past situations that have hurt you somehow, that have made you feel like you don't belong, and being willing to let the raw feelings emerge. and come out. Of course, be selective about who you let them out to, because we don't want a hurt on top of a hurt, right? Be sure you let them out with a safe person or a safe group. Protect yourself as you would protect your writing. As Kelly said, it could just mean that you're coming to a more raw and honest connection with yourself. And that's great. That's best, in my mind anyway. I can sense that this is what's happening for me. And when we do that, we don't need to broadcast it. We don't need to give details, right? We don't need to prove it or pass a test of any kind. We can just acknowledge it in ourselves rather than run it past somebody or divulge it to make it real. It can be our own private process. And then people around might just say, oh, what's different about you? You don't have to tell them. You just tell them it's spring. Because after all, as Kelly says, Scorpio is kind of vault-like, right? It likes to keep things close. It's why people often think Scorpios are up to something. Seems like they're holding a secret, but they're just self-protecting. So be honest with yourself. And even if you can't be honest with a group because it's not safe, whether it's at work or family or a group of friends or a writing group, as Kelly says, being honest with yourself about something can breathe a little light into this place inside you that knows that change needs to happen. That maybe you're the odd person out, which is not a bad thing. Just even knowing that is a great place from which to create some change. Knowing something isn't right for you is the first step into making things right for yourself. So think back to some of the scenarios I presented earlier around your writing. Or maybe you have one that doesn't even fit those. Whatever it is that has felt frustrating or stuck or not quite right, you can get clear about it. And if the only step you take is being authentically honest with yourself, that's a big first step. Think of it this way. The light of the full moon will shine a big light on what's been nagging at you, what's felt off, what's felt out of place. Maybe you haven't been quite able to put your finger on it. So take some time to think about how does this apply to your writing and your writing practice and a particular projects that you're working on. And of course, anything from the past that might have settled down inside you and just stayed there. Because I'll tell you what, we sensitives, it isn't uncommon for us to carry around a bunch of unresolved stuff. Not because we don't do the work, not because we're afraid, but because we live in a world, as I said earlier, not built for us. A world that tells us we're overreacting, that we feel too much, that we're too sensitive, and on and on and on. So it's probably fair to say that it's a good practice for us all the time to check in with ourselves and get really honest. What's in there that needs to be kicked to the curb, that doesn't belong? What's there that's knocking around inside me that I need to spend a little time with and transform it? And a full moon of any kind is a great time to do that, and especially a Scorpio moon. And I hope you'll take the time to do that because everything in life impacts our writing lives. We have to take care of ourselves. Another important aspect Kelly talks about is Mars in Leo, because Mars is the ruler of Scorpio and the full moon is in Scorpio. Remember, maybe you're not aware, Mars only very recently, the early part of this month, moved out of its shadow after being retrograde in Cancer. And this means that Mars, who wants to take action and move things forward, has been on this repetitive loop. And Mars has this oomph behind it. It's this energy, it's action. It wants to get things done, get things moving. Well, it's been in this repetitive loop. And so it's like one of those itches where you can feel it, but you scratch it and then it's not there. That's what Mars retrograde is like. It's like no matter what you do, you can't quite get it finished. So think of this as ruminating, fellow neurodivergent. You know what it's like to ruminate. It's a great time to move some of those ruminations out of our minds. And these aspects that we have coming up are going to help do that. And Kelly says this kind of circular feeling can go back as far as September or October of 2024. So let that shit go. It's just like a stale piece of bread sitting in the bottom of a bread box. It's getting all moldy and hard. It's not going to do anybody any good. So with Mars now ready to get its ass in gear, this, as Kelly says, reinforces those Uranus themes I talked about, that being energized. It's about leaving the past behind. So if you've had a situation that stayed with you, that you've ruminated about, and felt there was no solution, couldn't see a way out of, things can change now. And I'm already seeing this happen in my own life. I had a situation I was ruminating about over and over. I guess that's redundant though, isn't it? Ruminate means over and over. Anyway, I had this thing on my mind for a few years, and I just couldn't find a way out of these thoughts and feelings I was having around this particular thing. It's really important to me. And I tried for a long time to find a therapist to help me, to no avail. Unfortunately, there are a lot of shitty therapists in the world. Granted, there's some good ones. I couldn't find them, or else I found them and they didn't take my insurance, and I'm not a wealthy person, at least not right now. And some of the people I did try to talk to, they either wouldn't really listen to what I was saying, or they tried these weird approaches that caused more damage than help. And so I threw up my hands and I turned to myself and I just thought, what do I do? Where do I go when I have something I need to rid myself of? And then I remembered, it's books. So I went to the library, checked out several books on the topic that I was concerned about, and I've been able to recontextualize and get some relief. And I can honestly say that this thing I've been ruminating about for a long, long time is finally dissipating, and it's becoming a thing of the past. What this full moon with Mars and Uranus offers us is a way to move on from things that have been plaguing us. It gives us an opening so that we can let go and focus on things that matter to us. And this is about having the courage to move on, because Mars is in Leo, and Leo is all about courage, the lion. Whether it's to let go of people or situations, things they've done or not done, or whether it's about cutting ourselves some slack for things that we have done or not done. It's about leaving the past in the past and just looking forward now to other things and new ways of being, so that we're not weighted down, so that we can write, so that you can get your stories on the page and out into the world, to unburden yourself. Because as Maya Angelou said, there is no greater agony than carrying an untold story inside you. Because when you're weighted down, it is hard to focus, it's hard to concentrate, it's hard to create, and it impacts your ability to write and to tell all those meaningful stories and get all those brilliant ideas outside yourself into the world so that you can grow more. And this is all about how to break new ground. I am super excited about this, especially since I'm embarking on this new indie publishing endeavor. And I hope you have a project that you're working on that you can get just as excited about, and that you can feel this new surge of support to carry it forward. Kelly also says that Mars is moving to a fun, supportive aspect with Venus in Aries, because Mars rules Aries, right? We just talked about Mars coming out of its retrograde zone. Shortly, just a few days after the full moon, there will be this lovely trine, which is a harmonious aspect in astrology. So it's brewing and building steam right around the full moon. So this is about fun collaborations, coming together with people who share your interests or your passions. And all of you neurodivergent folks, I know that you know what it's like to connect with somebody who shares one of your special interests. Welcome to the rabbit hole, right? Welcome to 4 to 5 hours of nonstop talking where time does not exist. Welcome to truly feeling seen. And Kelly says that Venus in a fire sign is about feeling uplifted, and again, more moving forward. So think of it this way: Monday is the full moon. If you feel sluggish or weighted down, it's because of that Scorpio fixed energy. It might feel murky, it might feel heavy, you might be feeling lots of emotions, having lots of thoughts, but then quickly moving through all of that to a lighter and more energized way of thinking and being. And you might find that your writing gets you through it, or you might find that you'll work through something and will be able to return to your writing with a renewed verve to look forward and move forward. I'm excited, and I hope you are too. And it's about damn time, isn't it? Life has been heavy for a long time. And even though we have numbnuts in the White House and he's making an utter mess of things, I love seeing signs that boundaries are being set for the angry toddler. And he will likely make a further mess, and more people may get hurt in his wake, which is painful to watch and think about. But I'm feeling truly optimistic that this is the end of an era, and we're in the middle of the mess that comes from that before we can get to the beginning of a new one. No idea how long it will last, no idea how long the messy part will last, but I've never been more energized about my own path, my own work, and what I can create in the world than I am right now. I hope you feel the same. I know this was a longer video than usual, but there was a lot to be said. Thank you for listening, lovely writer. I appreciate it. And as always, I send you mad writing mojo. Happy writing.